video episode 34, I used a basic trade model to demonstrate how free trade according to comparative advantage improves overall well-being because it results in higher overall production than if each participant were to produce everything for themselves. But where is the guarantee that each individual participant is made better off by trade? After all, isn't it possible that one party could see all of the gains while the other is no better off? Or worse, one party gains while the other loses? Once again, using the simple 2x2, two producers and two products, trade model, we'll see that the answer lies in the negotiated terms of trade. Let's look back at the Gilligan's Island example. Remember, there were two producers, Gilligan and Skipper, and two products, huts and fish dinners. Recall also that while Skipper required 20 hours to produce one hut and 10 hours to produce one fish dinner, Gilligan required 45 hours to produce one hut and 15 hours to produce one fish dinner. This meant that while Skipper had absolute advantage in production of both products, i.e., he required fewer resources than Gilligan to produce the same amount of output, it is comparative advantage or opportunity cost that determines the pattern of specialization and therefore the pattern of trade. Consider the opportunity cost of each of our two producers of building a single hut. For Skipper, a hut requires 20 hours, but a fish dinner requires 10 hours. Therefore, one hut equals 20 hours, which could have been used to produce two fish dinners. So Skipper's opportunity cost of producing a single hut is two fish dinners. Likewise, Gilligan takes 45 hours to build a single hut. Had he applied those same hours to fishing instead, he could have produced three fish dinners. So Skipper's trade-off is one hut equals two fish dinners, and Gilligan's trade-off is one hut equals three fish dinners. According to comparative advantage, Skipper has the lowest opportunity cost of hut production and should specialize exclusively in hut production, selling any excess huts that he can produce to Gilligan. In the meantime, Gilligan, who has the lower opportunity cost and therefore comparative advantage in fishing, should exclusively produce fish dinners and sell any excess to Skipper. We saw in episode 34 that this behavior results in greater overall production. But how do we know that specialization and trading in this fashion is beneficial to each of the individuals? It all comes down to the two parties agreeing on a mutually beneficial terms of trade. Look, what if we pretend for a moment that Skipper and Gilligan are each countries that are considering engaging in trade with one another? Let's call them the United States of Skipper and the Republic of Gilligan. In the United States of Skipper, the country can trade off one hut for two fish dinners on its own. Time to think. Under what circumstances would the USS consider trading with the Republic of Gilligan? That is, what would make the exchange of United States of Skipper huts for Republic of Gilligan fish beneficial to the United States of Skipper? If the agreed-upon terms of trade allow the USS to acquire more than two fish dinners for each hut that it sells, then the United States of Skipper sees gains from trade. Now, under what circumstances would the Republic of Gilligan consider trading? That is, what would make trade of Republic of Gilligan fish for United States of Skipper huts beneficial to the ROG? If the agreed-upon terms of trade allow the Republic of Gilligan to acquire huts more cheaply than they could on their own, then the ROG benefits from trade. Because the Republic of Gilligan can produce one hut if they're willing to give up three fish dinners, then trade will benefit them as long as they can acquire a USS hut by giving up fewer than three fish dinners. To recap then, the United States of Skipper would benefit from trade if they knew that they would receive more than their domestic trade-off of two fish dinners for each hut. The Republic of Gilligan would benefit from trade as long as they can pay less than their domestic trade-off of three fish dinners per hut. Therefore, as long as the two countries can agree on terms of trade that lie between their two opportunity costs, then specialization in trade according to their respective comparative advantages will be beneficial to both parties. In this example, the terms of trade would need to be greater than two fish dinners per one hut to benefit the USS, but less than three fish dinners per one hut to benefit the ROG. Where exactly the terms of trade will end up depends on who's the better negotiator. The United States of Skipper would prefer to receive closer to three fish dinners for each hut that it sells, while the Republic of Gilligan would prefer to pay closer to 2 fish dinners for each hut that it buys. For the moment, let's say the terms of trade end up exactly in the middle at 2.5 fish dinners for each hut. With these terms of trade, the USS gains half a fish dinner for each hut that it sells above and beyond what it could have produced on its own, and the ROG gives up half a fish dinner less than if it were producing on its own. As long as the terms of trade are bounded by the two countries' opportunity costs, i.e., their domestic trade-offs or what they could accomplish on their own, then both parties benefit from trade. So not only will free trade according to comparative advantage have a global benefit by increasing overall production, it also improves living standards in each country by allowing them to sell their own goods at a higher rate of exchange than they could domestically, and also by being able to purchase other countries' goods cheaper than they could have done on their own. This conclusion begs the question, if everyone is made better off by free trade, why is it that there are no countries that actually practice completely free trade? For the answer or answers to this question, you can watch episode 35, Why Do Countries Restrict Trade?